Hey guys, welcome back to Over the Surface. I am officially back from Europe. We are in real time now. The other episodes were pre-filmed, so it's kind of nice being in real time. I feel like I can talk about things as they're happening now, which I couldn't before. But this episode's gonna be a little different. I feel like I'm gonna treat the beginning of this episode a little bit like a diary entry. I want to kind of rant, ramble, talk about the trip a little bit, my morning, a book I'm reading, and then I'm going to kind of jump into the question later. So that's kind of what today's episode is going to consist of. I've been thinking about, which I asked on TikTok live, possibly just doing a little bit more ranting and talking of kind of about whatever at the beginning of my podcasts. And everyone was like, yeah, like do whatever feels authentic to you. So I feel like I'm gonna start doing that. I think I might just rant and ramble before I answer a question and leave that more towards the end, which I'm also cool with. So we're gonna experiment. We're gonna have some fun. We're just gonna kind of keep it casual, and I just really want this to be like a conversation with you guys. So that's exactly what this is, honestly. Well, first off, I have had the morning of hell. And it started yesterday. I felt so weird yesterday. I felt very brain foggy. I felt like, what is wrong with me? I felt a little weird all week, but yesterday I really felt just completely out of it. And it was, time for me to get my period. I hadn't gotten it yet, but I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm about to get it, right? Anyways, I wake up this morning at 5 o'clock in the most excruciating pain of my entire life. And I run to the bathroom and I throw up from how much pain I'm in and got my period. But the cramps, sorry, I don't know if this is TMI. I'm so sorry, but I'm just freeballing it. I couldn't even lift my head up. I was in fetal position on the ground crying. So anyways, I literally was just a puddle of a human being this morning. I finally got the courage to go and take some Midol, and I made myself a raspberry leaf tea because I just could not stand the pain. Like the pain was so horrible. It literally woke me up and I threw up because of it. So that's what I was dealing with this morning since 5. And I was just curled up on the sofa for 4 hours. 9 o'clock rolled around. I ate a little piece of toast to kind of settle my stomach. And then I did my makeup and I got ready. And I still feel like shit. I feel so horrible right now. A part of me didn't even want to film, but I just, I told myself I have to. And it's not even like you have to, like, it's more of like, it doesn't have to be that serious. Because in my head, I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to work myself up to get all perfect and pretty and look good and like try and like put myself together for this podcast. And that's not the reality of it. I feel like shit. I am really brain foggy today and I'm in pain right now. I did take some medicine before this and it's starting to kick in, but I am in pain. So, but it's fine. That's the reality of it. And that's life. And I told myself, I'm just going to film it and I'm going to talk about it because I feel like majority of women deal with this. I feel like periods are very painful. I went through a second puberty, I think. I went to the doctors to talk about this with them and ask them, like, is this normal? Like, am I okay? They've done testing. I'm good. I'm good to go. They just were like, yeah, you might be going through a second puberty. And I couldn't even believe it. Like, we can't catch a fucking break, right? We go through our first, right, puberty cycle of getting your period. Then we go through a second one and it's worse. And then we get pregnant and then we go through menopause. Like, what the? And I've heard menopause is not fun either. So that's exciting. Anyways, yeah, so that's where I'm at today. That's how I've kind of felt the last 24, 48 hours, honestly. And then on top of that, the last week, I've had the worst post-travel depression. I have felt so weird. I immediately touched back down in LA and I was like depressed. I was so sad. I was immediately stagnant with my life. Everything felt still very, I'm not going anywhere with my life. Nothing feels like it's progressing. I just felt like my soul got sucked out of me when I came back. And I hated that because I started feeling really ungrateful and very sad about that. And I felt like something was wrong with me, or I still do feel something's wrong with me because I'm like, I have so much to be grateful for. I'm so blessed beyond my needs. And the fact that I feel this way makes me feel really guilty sometimes. And I think when I was traveling, when I was in Europe, making content felt so easy and it was fun and it just came so naturally. And here I feel like it's hard to make content. It's hard to post stuff that feels good and creative and pretty and colorful and youthful. I don't know. It's just such a weird feeling. I'm in a really weird rut right now, and I go through these phases a lot, and I'm trying to not let it get to me that much. But I am in a really weird place at the moment. So I'm trying to get out of that. It's starting to feel a lot better. Time is feeling like it's moving quicker. This week has felt like time has stopped for some reason. I'm like, I'm going to be stuck in this week for forever. That's what it has felt like. But I went to the bookstore. I went to Barnes & Noble's a couple days ago because I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to read. I immediately felt this sense of, I really want to read. I really want to write. I'm not feeling that inspired content-wise, if that makes sense, like taking photos and making videos here that much, but I am feeling more creative on just like reading and writing and tapping more into that creative realm, if that makes sense. So anyways, one of the books I picked up, this is a little bit of a segue into the blurb quote of the day or whatever I talk about before I do the question. Also, I just want you guys to know, real quick, I want to talk about Europe. Europe was honestly phenomenal, right? I did say that. It was just so creative. But overall, the trip was so much fun. I didn't really talk about it, but it just was so much fun. My friends got engaged. Jill and Vic, love you guys. They're one of my best friends. And they got engaged. It was so beautiful. So many celebrations, so many birthdays. It just was such a magical trip, and I'm so happy that I got to do that with my friends. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm so grateful to even be able to do those things with my friends and to even have a big group of us go out there and travel. I feel like that's very rare to do as well. So anyways, I just wanted to preface that the trip was incredible. And I think that's why I'm so sad right now that I'm not there right now. And I have thought about moving to Europe for like a month or two. I really deep down want to move to London for a month, minimum for a month at some point in my life. And it's a bit of a scary thought because when I moved to LA, I felt like I had nothing to lose. I was so young. I was 18, and it kind of was like the time to go and do stuff that felt a little more rebellious or you weren't really sure the outcome of because I had so much time, right? But now doing something like that makes me nervous because I don't know. I mean, I'm 27 now. I know I'm not old. I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm in my late 20s now. And it's not just something where I can pick up my stuff and go and move. I have more responsibilities now. I have a dog I can't just leave behind. I don't know how to get him there. So that's why a month seems like feasible. It's something that I can just do and then come back, and maybe that'll like fix the urge of me wanting to leave. But yeah, a deep part of me really wants to move and feel really inspired in Europe right now, specifically London for some reason. I feel like I've been called to London for the last year and a half. I don't know why. So we'll see what happens. I would really love to do that at some point. And like I said, I feel like the older you get, it's like, oh shit, like, once I get married and once I have kids, and those things are a lot harder to do. So I got to figure that out. Sorry. Like, truly treating this like a diary entry. Everything that I write in my journal, everything that I'm writing in my journal, I'm saying to you guys. So please handle with care. Anyways, back to what I was segueing to. I bought a book, And it's The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And I watched the movie a long time ago, and I was at the bookstore and I saw it just sitting on the shelf, just so beautiful, just like right there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I loved that movie. I mean, the movie came out in 2012, so over 10 years ago. And I remember loving it. It was so beautiful. I loved the story behind it. And I remember it making me really emotional. So I just grabbed the book. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy it and read it. And I had no intention of finishing it in one day. I literally picked this up yesterday and I was like in increments, finished it literally in one day. And then I woke up this morning and watched the movie at 5 a.m. because I didn't know what else to do with myself. But anyways, I just want you to know, if you do read the book and you watch the movie, there is a really big There's a really big message. Why the fuck did I say opposite? There's a really big message in the book that is way more clear in the movie. I don't want to say anything because if someone does read the book and watches the movie, I'm so curious if you catch it, because I did not catch it, and I was literally, jaw was to the ground when I made the realization after reading the book and then watching the movie. And I'm almost mad at myself for not realizing it, but it makes me want to reread it to like actually catch everything now. But maybe I will in the future because I'm not going to reread it right now. Anyways, segueing into my little blurb / quote / passage of the week, I am going to read a little paragraph that was in this book. It's kind of long. All right, here we go. Dear friend, I love Twinkies, and the reason I'm saying this is because we are all supposed to think of reasons to live. In science class, Mr. Z told us about an experiment where they got this rat or mouse, and they put this rat or mouse on one side of a cage. On the other side of the cage, they put a little piece of food, and this rat or mouse would walk over to the food and eat. Then they put the rat or mouse back on its original side, and this time they put electricity all through the floor where the rat or mouse would have to walk to get the piece of food. They did this for a while, and the rat or mouse stopped going to get the food at a certain amount of voltage. Then they repeated the experiment, but they replaced the food with something that gave the rat or mouse intense pleasure. I don't know what it was that gave them intense pleasure, but I am guessing it's some kind of rat or mouse nip. Anyway, what the scientists found out was that the rat or mouse would put up with a lot more voltage for pleasure, even more for the food. I don't know the significance of this, but I find it very interesting. I hope you followed along with that. Basically, I read that and thought, what are we willing to die for? And I don't really have much else to say about this, but I just wanted to leave you guys a little food for thought. I want you guys just to think about that, because I really thought about it. When I was sitting there reading that and I finished it, I was like, wow, what would I die for? What would be on the other side of that floor that could possibly severely hurt me or kill me that I'd be willing to go after? And, a lot of my answers were just family, like if someone was hurting, or a dream of mine that I knew I had to chase after, and if I didn't, I would probably just die inside no matter what if I never went and pursued it. So yeah, I'm just curious what you guys would place across that floor that you would go to war or for bat at. That's a person, a dream, a thing, even an item. It could be even something that you absolutely love, like a prized possession. I'm just so curious. Obviously, I can't hear your guys' answers right now, but I would love for you guys to leave whatever answer you have down below. I'd be so curious to see what your answers are. All right, guys, we have made it to the main event, and now it is time to answer a question from the bowl. I'm hoping that it's something easy. I'm hoping it's something I don't need to think too hard about, but you just never know. Okay, here we go. Kind of nervous about this one. Okay. Where do you envision yourself 5 years from now? What are things you hope to change? Okay, it's actually really interesting that I got this question because I've been thinking a lot about this recently. I've been thinking a lot about my priorities recently and just kind of where I see myself in the future. I mean, 5 years from now, I will be. How old will I be? I will be 32. Okay, I'm just gonna like lay it out. First off, by 32, I hope, I pray, I am a mom to at least one baby by the time I'm 32, or pregnant by 32. So that is number one. Obviously, hoping that I'm engaged and married prior to that. So that's, yeah, that's always been a dream of mine. And it's funny, I thought I would be a young mom. And I've talked about this so much on my channel before, and I've said this so many times on so many different things and whatever, but I truly do believe my calling in life is to be a mother. I really don't know why. I think I will have that answer once I am a mom, actually, because I've asked myself so many times, look, why do you desire to be a mother so badly? And I really don't think I'll know the answer until I have my kid. And maybe it might heal something in me that needs to be healed. Maybe it's something that I've been yearning for. I don't know. Or maybe it's just the caretaker in me and it will fill that for me. But yeah, I just have always envisioned myself being a mom. And I thought I was going to be a young mom. Like when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a mom at like 22. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a young mom and I'm going to, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to have 5, 6 kids by the time I'm 35. Obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, that's always been the dream. But it's funny because I feel like as you get older, you start realizing, I feel like nowadays too, people are having children a lot later and they're waiting and it really is preference. I think a lot of people, it depends on what you prioritize, right? A lot of people prioritize their career and they're okay with having kids in their later 30s or, whatever age they're at. Or some people don't prioritize that and they want to prioritize a family. It's really whatever works for you. I feel like I would prioritize a family, but I know it's not the right time for me, if that makes sense. I know deep down that I need to prioritize myself and my career first so that I can feed my family with the proper life I want to give them. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the mom and family stuff. So, yeah, by 32, I'm hoping that I am a mom, which would be so much fun. I can't, I literally, the thought of it. My mom, I literally talk about it with my mom. My mom starts crying because I'm her only kid and my mom wants to be a grandma so bad. She literally starts to cry thinking about being a grandma, which is so funny and so sweet. But anyways, for career-wise, this is honestly a big dream of mine and it's a dream that I've been thinking about for the last year. I really, really want to write a novel. I've, come out with a poetry book and I've written poetry and I don't know why, but recently something about storytelling has really attached to me and it's something that I've felt like I've been really passionate about in the last year. I feel like it's always been in me, but recently it's come out. So I really want to write a novel. I don't really know where to start. I have ideas, but I think the advice that I've gotten from people is just start writing and just start putting it together and don't think too much about it and lay it out and just revise and just go for it. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do. But I'm hoping by 32, I have come out with multiple books, or at least one novel or something like that. I really do love writing. I love making me, I love making me. I love making people feel with words. I'm not kidding, guys. When I listen to a song for the first time or anything that requires listening and there's like other stuff going on, the first thing I listen to are the words. And I don't listen to the beat, I don't listen to the instruments, I listen to the words. I've always been so attracted by words and how they make you feel. I think that's why growing up, I really loved reading romance novels. I loved Nicholas Sparks. I loved how they made you feel and made you even feel so in love, right? So words, I just think, are so impactful, and I love it so much. And it's funny because I never really thought about going to school for like English or writing. I just guess I never felt like there was a career in it, which is so sad. I think at the age that I was at when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, I want to move to LA and I want to, I'll just go to school for business and just get a business career. This was before the whole YouTube thing. And part of me now kind of is like, wow, I wish I would have, because I loved English. I loved English in high school. I remember always loving to read in class, and I always did the assignments. But like when it came to science and math, I hated it so much. And I don't know. I don't know why I never thought about pursuing an English major or anything. I just never thought that there was anything past that. I guess I just didn't know what I would do with an English degree. But I guess, it's not too late to go back now. But maybe not right now. I think that could be something cool that I could do in the future. So yeah, maybe in the next 5 years, going back to college or something, going back to school. The idea of school has been lingering in my mind too. I think I'm just yearning for something new in my life and some sort of change or switch up. And I feel like I'm figuring it out slowly but surely, but it just hasn't happened yet. Or I haven't figured it out fully. Like there's so many lingering ideas where I'm like trying to figure it out, but nothing is stuck, or I haven't made the move because I'm scared. And obviously I am not going to make a decision that's going to like flip my life upside down, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, I think I just have to think clearly and not make such a drastic decision, because I can be a very impulsive person, and my boyfriend says this all the time. He's like, you're doing the Franny thing, and I'm like, what? And he's like, you're doing that thing where you get a thought in your mind and it's like has to be executed at this very moment. You become like literally obsessed and like you have to get it done. And it's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes I get stuff done in literally minutes or an hour and I'm done and it's great. But sometimes I'm doing that with stuff that should not be done in a minute or in 30 minutes, or sorry, that shouldn't be done in a minute or in an hour. It should be done over a course of days or weeks, because you really need to think it through. And I've made those mistakes before, and that's fine. But here I am. I feel like, that's just who I am, and I've tried to get better at it. So yeah, maybe school in the next 5 years. What are things that you hope to change? I'm trying to think of things that I would want to change. There's nothing really specific that I want to change. I think I kind of said what I would want to change, maybe like where I'm living at the time. I think ultimately I will end up here in LA. Like this is where I will end up, or I don't know. It's funny, for the longest time I thought LA was going to be my end game. Like LA was going to be my home for the rest of my life. And now I'm questioning it a lot. And I don't know, maybe it'll change again. Maybe it's because I've been here for so long. Maybe, I don't know. I think I just have to take it day by day. Not to be sad and sappy, but there was a time where I was really going through it. And this is when I was living with my parents here in California, in LA. And I remember telling my mom, oh my goodness, like I was just a puddle of anxiety. I was so stressed out about my future. And I remember my mom looking at me and being like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know, like, what I'm going to be doing with my life in the next 10 years. Like, I don't know what's going on. And my mom looked at me and she was like, kind of just taken aback. She's like, what? She saw me so flustered. I was crying. She's like, what? She's like, why are you thinking about what's going to happen in 5 years? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm scared and stressed. And I think also being an only child, I always grew up with that pressure of wanting to make my parents proud. I felt like I had no room to mess up a lot of the times because I was an only child. And it's sad because I think I did put a lot of pressure on myself growing up, and even now in life, I think I've learned to be a little easier on myself, but I think I have those panicky moments because like, oh my God, I can't mess up. Like I need to have a future plan. And I think hearing from my mom, because I was so afraid of letting them down, my mom and my dad, I think hearing it from her being like, you do not have to worry about the next 5 or 10 years of your life. Like you just need to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen this week at most, and don't think about anything else. And that made me feel like 1,000,000 pounds came off of my shoulders. And I can't even describe it, but I remember from that moment on feeling just lighter. And I felt like that pressure of constantly trying to be this perfect child left me a little bit. So I do think about the future a lot. Obviously, that is something that we all are always going to be thinking about. We are human. We always are going to be thinking about what's the next thing that we can do? What's the next big thing? What can we do to be better, right? The future is always at question. That's one of the biggest reasons why we suffer with anxiety. And I try really hard not to think about the future because I'm sitting here saying all of what I would want to be done in 5 years, right? Where I want to be at in the next 5 years. And none of it might not happen, you know? As much as I want to be a mom by the time I'm 32, maybe that's not my calling. Maybe I will be a mom at some point in my life, but maybe not at 32. So I think just putting that pressure on yourself is horrible. I think just live your life day to day. Live your life at most, like my mom said, week to week, and take it as it is. I'm telling you, your life could change tomorrow, and it'll change the whole course of your 5-year plan. And I know so many people out here that have really strict set plans that are like, this is what's got to happen. This is what I'm going to do. And I even remember someone telling me a long time ago, a close friend of mine, I'm not going to date anyone until I'm this age and all of this. And I'm like, why? What if the most perfect person comes into your life and you miss out on that opportunity because you are setting this weird rule for yourself? So obviously set standards, set goals, but don't be so strict on them. Life is so not linear. I don't know what that word is. I can't think of it. But life is not linear. Life is an absolute roller coaster. You are going to have your highs of highs and you're going to have your lows of lows multiple times a month. And that is what I've learned actually in the last year, that I've been very aware of, that I'm just someone that is going to have a bad week at some point in the month. And I just know it's going to happen because life is not perfect. But yeah, I think that's what I strive for the next 5 years, but I don't think I'm set on that. I'm not banking on that. I'm not banking that I, have $1 bajillion dollars in 5 years as much as I would like to. I would love to have a forever home in the next 5 years, but will that happen? I don't know. The housing market, real estate market it's expensive, especially here in LA, to buy a home. So I don't know what that looks like for me either. But those are goals I will go for, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. But anyways, I hope that answers your question. I actually really liked this episode. This episode felt very felt very natural for me. It felt very nice just to talk and, I don't know, kind of rant. And even though I feel like shit, this actually made me feel better. It made me just feel lighter, and it keeps me excited to do the podcast, because I think when people ask me about the podcast, they're like, oh, how's the podcast going? Like, are you like, and I'm like, I love it. I just like sitting there and talking about, I don't know. I think it's important things, but maybe not. I just kind of like to talk, and I like to talk about things that aren't pure drama or pure what you're being fed constantly. I think that's another reason why I'm kind of in a bit of a book mode, because I think social media is just so overly saturated right now. And when I'm on it, it's just, I'm constantly consuming so much content, and it gives me anxiety sometimes. So I try not to do that a lot. I've been trying to just steer away from it and going and doing different things, and just, like, they call it, what, doom scrolling. You're just scrolling till like you're doom until you freak out. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really loved it. I don't even know what episode this is. Can't even tell you the number, but we're going. I think it's been, I want to say 7. That's the guess. No, 7 or 8. That's the guess I'm making. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing day, whether you're watching this from home, at work. I hope, you kick ass today and you do something incredible. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Also, don't forget to leave your questions down below for me. Leave your questions down below, what you want me to answer. I gotta start filling up this bowl again. It's starting to look a little empty. So leave the questions, and we'll see what the next one is next week. All right, I love you, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.